Endings seem to us humans to be sad affairs most of the time. Now, Abraham and Sarah had long since reconciled with the fact that at their ending of having children, there was no hope for them to have children. And although it was painful, they had come to terms with it. It was especially painful for Abraham because God had promised Abraham that he would have descendants as many as the stars in the sky, as many as the sand on the seashore. She sells seashells. And Sarah's barrenness, as it was common in those days, I'm sure, was seen by people as a sign that God was somehow displeased with her. And they, Abraham and Sarah, had long since made an uneasy peace with the facts of time and old bodies and barrenness. Both Abraham and Sarah, therefore, laughed when they received the news that this was not an ending but just a pause, that news coming from angels no less, that they would have a child. You say, well, I remember Sarah laughing, but I didn't remember that Abraham laughed. But yes, he did. In Genesis 17, Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And then one chapter later in Genesis 18, so Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I'm worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure? So maybe this ending that they had experienced in their lives, that they weren't going to have children, that their family line would die off, maybe it was not an ending after all, but a pause. And then in Matthew, the man who came to Jesus had experienced an ending. His daughter had died. She had died. In his grief, he frantically searched all around himself to see if there were any way to undo this devastation of his daughter's death. Somehow he learned that Jesus was nearby. He had nothing to lose now except some shreds of dignity. And what did that matter to him at this point? What did it matter to him that people would laugh at him for going to Jesus the healer? So he did. He came to Jesus. He said, please, I need your help. Come with me. And Jesus did. He went to the man's house. And when they got to the house, Jesus told the professional mourners, the musicians and the people who were weeping and wailing, he said, go away because the little girl isn't dead but is asleep. And yes, they laughed at him because they knew the girl was dead. They knew the difference between somebody who's sleeping and somebody who's dead. She was dead. It was an ending. But it didn't stay an ending, did it? From its very creation, the United Methodist Church, which was created out of the former Methodist Church and the former Evangelical United Brethren Church at the General Conference of 1968, and from its very creation, the next General Conference in 1972, for 51 years, the United Methodist Church has been fighting within itself. The fight has been over the place of homosexuals in the church.